Marfoogle TV, hopefully going live in 3, 2. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. Let's get right into it. IEA agrees to release a record 400 million barrels of oil. This is on top of another story we're going to talk about here in just a second. All of a sudden, they're releasing not only 400 million, but we're going to see the U.S. actually release millions of barrels as well. And I'm almost looking at this and going, okay, it already bounced back? The oil kind of bounced back way below what it was after this announcement, and after the whole war thing popped off. And then, of course, the president spoke the other day and said, I think, us wrapping it up is right around the corner. Immediately bounced back. So gas prices aren't that crazy. It's not $20 or $30 or $40 like some experts said it could get if this thing continued with the Strait of Hormuz. There's a lot of things that actually say that this very well could continue with it. But now they're releasing 400 million and a couple hundred million. We'll talk about that here in a second. I wonder if this is because they're preemptively doing this because a massive event is coming and they know it. They're putting out warnings. They are putting out their formal plans of what they're going to do when everything hits the fan, and they're quietly preparing for it. Meanwhile, the media and, of course, the government, other than DHS's EMP resilience report, is telling everybody everything is fine and don't worry about it. Go back to your daily life. Everything is going to be okay. I don't think it is. We're going to talk about that tonight, and we're going to talk about, of course, the FBI document that says that Iran is planning an attack on California. We're also going to talk about that the president and the White House supposedly wanted to hide this list of people or list of targets in the United States that they wanted to hit. I mean, if this is true, everything Sarah Adams was saying from open source intelligence is accurate. We're going to go over that in just a minute. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. All right, so let's go in, and before we get started, we're going to bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
The show is going to look a little bit different tonight. We're having issues with Cloudflare and Archive and all sorts of other systems that are... Long story. In fact, we've covered some of the services we use because the government is currently going after independent providers of archived news. Strangely enough, kind of like the Wayback Machine, only it takes basically a flash picture of every article as people log them, right? Well, that's down again for like the 20th time. There's something very, very odd going on right now as we speak. Dex, do you want to go over Iran's new supreme leader was injured in the legs on the first day, apparently?
Yeah, day one, they tried to take his legs out, right? But yeah, so the Iran's new supreme leader, Mujtaba Khamenei was wounded in his legs on opening day of the U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. The New York Times reported Wednesday, citing Israeli and Iranian officials. Khamenei 56 was announced on Sunday as his successor. They reported the Khamenei was wounded, including in his leg, on that day as well. So actually, it wasn't just the day he became; it was on opening day of the strikes, so to speak. So. He had still issued no statement or appeared publicly Wednesday morning, over 48 hours after his selection, as they call it. And yeah, I don't think we're going to see him. He's probably like the groundhog who's going to stay in the hole until next year, because if he pops out, he's going to be taken out, I'm sure.
Yeah, I guess if he does pop out of the hole, and depending on what he does when he's out of the hole, they'll have good attacks for that year. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But one thing that we do know is that essentially they have taken out all of the top leaders of Iran, yet it has a system that they knew that they were going to have their top leaders taken out. We've shown you that. They were literally preparing. They're like, we're all going to perish. The people underneath us need to pick their people underneath them, and they essentially need to have this going as far as they possibly can go. Some say they went down 500 steps. So if each one of them gets taken out, because the U.S. is very good at taking out people, they are very good at finding out where people are. Yeah, I mean, we always talk about how scary it is that everything's tracking and monitoring and tracing us. Gosh, imagine being on their crap list in another country. That would be really, really scary. All right. And then, of course, we have the next story, which is Khamenei deadlier than his father. And it actually, basically, this is from one of his ex-study partners. So they weren't like going to the pizza place and going skateboarding on their breaks. Apparently, they were talking about world domination. You want to talk about this?
Yeah. Specifically, they said that he is more willing to lie and he places less value on human life, according to a study partner. Jaber Rajabi, who worked as a foreign policy advisor to Iran's President Mohammad Ahmadinejad, the former president. He said, as a go-between for the regime-backed militias in Iraq, he spoke to the Post in a written translation from his home in UAE, where he's been living under local protection since he was exiled. But he said, from a family loyal to the regime, Rajabi's father fought in the Iraq-Iran war, and his mother worked for a short time in the office and now of the assassinated supreme leader. But in his in this history that has led him to the regime to recruit him after discovering him fighting with a bunch of different terrorist groups across and against U.S. forces in Iraq. But all of that's to sort of give him some credibility. But his first encountered the current Ayatollah, where he began studying alongside him at the religious seminary and the most highly regarded center where they were studying, as he says. At the time, he was very hypocritical. He says something, but inside him, there's something totally different, according to him. The Atlantic that his former study partner was obsessed with the end of days and had believed he himself will have a special part in hastening humanity down that path. That's kind of creepy when you think about it.
Can you read that last sentence again? And this is the guy who just took over Iran. Can you just repeat that?
Yeah, he had earlier told The Atlantic that his former study partner was obsessed with the end of days and had believed that he himself will have a special part in the hastening humanity down that path.
Just wanted to repeat that so that really soaks in. And obviously a lot of people in our community kind of believe that there is a alternate kind of version of reality right now to the people that are way, way higher than us. And there is an agenda that would go with that if that is the case. And there's also kind of an opinion about the majority of the people that are on the planet right now and whether they actually deserve to be here, right? You're talking about a kind of people that believe they do deserve to be here and many don't. We're talking about the kind of people that do not want to be around you. They don't want to smell you. They don't want to see you in binoculars. They do not want to be anywhere near you because they think you are a cockroach to be stepped on and to be, eliminated. And I'm not just talking about him. I'm talking about people that, they don't go to grocery stores. They don't worry about $12 eggs because they have, emus in their house, with emu caretakers that are crapping out emu eggs for their breakfast. This was out of left field, saying that he was obsessed with end of days and that he personally believed that he was going to have a part in them. That's freaky. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, well, you could make this stuff up. This could totally all be a script to scare the crap out of people. I personally think that this is more confirmation that the patterns that looked crazy 4 or 5 years ago, all of the stuff that we said that headlines go, nope, that's not the truth. The truth is this has nothing to do with it. 5 years later, everything is leading back to one party. And everything is leading back to that there are people above us that absolutely know something is coming, and we don't. And how would they keep a secret like that? I don't know. How would they pass down through hundreds of years stories that are never wrote down anywhere, memorized, and said only in the most secretive meetings after years and years of being in those meetings and getting to the highest degree of those meetings? Yeah, no, I don't know how they keep secrets like this. Oh, and then if say a secret does get out, you end up, the guy was depressed and he ended up jumping off the side of a 20-foot bridge, which no one would do. And then accidentally hit by a vehicle. That's the kind of thing that happens when you break out secrets. So most people, they don't tell those secrets. Just saying. And for people to go, oh yeah, that's tinfoil hat stuff. Read the files of our own CIA. People think, oh, it stopped in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, sure. No, it stopped being, so loose and it stopped being shown to people. That's for sure. Now they have technology to hide it. And then, of course, we have our next story is going to be wild. We're going to talk about the leaked Iran terror report, and this is directly related to this new, of course, essentially story that they're saying that there's a plan to attack California with drones. We'll talk about that here in a second. Before I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. They have been talking nonstop about cyber events this week. In a time like this, in a year like this, I hope that people are at least taking a look at this, because this is going to make sure that your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, generators are going to work after, and not only an EMP blast from any adversary, but also any backpack device in a city or a Carrington level event from the sun. This is an easy device to put in your car, 10 minutes and it's done. MarfoogleNews.com/EMP, code MARF. They also make versions for Starlink systems, for your internet, for your telephone, for, of course, your trucks, motorcycles, boats, generators, especially like the Energy or Grid Down. They both have systems to protect them from EMP Shield. So they have one for everything, and they are very easy. Same company is outfitting agencies like DHS, DOW, Department of War, FBI, Air Force, and the Dempster team helping protect the Texas grid. And they're all currently, as of last Friday, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to just basically go full bore and harden everything. Wonder why? You had Iran go completely dark for a day or two right before they decide to release this. I think it's a little bit strange, but what I know. And then, of course, Dex read leaked Iran terror report that details that the president didn't want you to see. Trump basically hid this or wanted to not panic people.
Well, that's what they're telling us, because the White House isn't telling us this, and the FBI is not commenting on it. But what the allegation is there was a document that was coming out that was going to update the local law LEOs around the country related to what to expect from Iran. with their response to the war. And that information was withheld, one of which we covered over on news, which was the potential threat of drone attacks in California, surprise drone attacks in California. But more specifically, the report went on to state that Iran is favoring targeted assassinations of government officials rather than large mass casualty type attacks. The intel officer suggests that Tehran may prioritize taking out specific individuals, such as U.S. officials, regime dissidents, or even Jewish community leaders, instead of indiscriminate attacks. Most of the government of Iran's attack plots in the United States involve the potential use of firearms, according to the report. Other methods may include stabbings, vehicle rammings, bombings, poisoning, suffocation, and arson. So the bulletin warns basically all these different scenarios that can go down. It talks specifically about Iranian operatives may attempt to lure victims to other countries geographically closer to Iran. I don't know how that would work. Ask, Marco Rubio, hey, can you come over to Syria for the day? We just need to talk to you and give you some candy. But no, I don't think that really works. But that's what they say. The FBI officials concluded this tactic is used to carry out kidnapping that could end in the imprisonment or the taking out of the victims themselves. The FBI believes the regime prefers to use individuals that have been radicalized here with a variety of ideological backgrounds, with existing U.S. legal status or U.S. access. So those that are already here, obviously, that came across, or those that are here legally that they can influence and work with. Some of the regime sympathizers also may lack identifiable ties to Iran. I think that's a code word to say, hey, if we need to put a patsy in to create a event, we can always say it was Iran that did it, because they're saying right now they're going to have no identifiable tie back to Iran, right? That how that works? Law enforcement's also warned that the graphic imagery and the news of civilian casualties from war could mobilize those extremist attacks. And this was on going back, obviously, to February 28th when we started the attack on Iran. So interesting things there. What I think was most important was the fact that they were suggesting that they weren't targeting, large indiscriminate, groups of civilians versus taking specific people that would have high impact.
Now, there's a comment on this article that I think is actually kind of important to highlight. So ADW14 says Iran can't even properly defend its own country, let alone attack others. Well, USA is actually having a difficult issue with them, and because this is such an asymmetrical war where you've got $20,000 drones still launching, and they can launch off the back of the trucks, they can launch from backyards, they can launch from empty pools, they can launch out of literal garages everywhere around the country. So you don't know if that's a civilian home or a drone launchery. Yeah, I don't think there is a launchery word, but you guys get my point. This is a more difficult conflict than they think. And I think a lot of folks have the same opinion they have this opinion that's straight up from just reading headlines. Now, how many times have we been screwed by just reading headlines? Most of you by now in 2026 believe that 2019 through about 2023, we were lied to not only a lot, but we could have had the largest lies told to us ever in history. Those same entities now people believe if it sounds logical. They're like, yeah, that sounds right. When that logical, even the logical stories that they're telling them is connected into a bigger thing that goes into kind of this new change that is coming to the world. It doesn't make sense to me that so many just believe everything they see. The same people that followed the stupidest thing. I mean, a lot of people followed a lot of guidelines, but to follow it after another, where they're like, oh, it'll stop this. It won't stop this. It will stop this. This will do this. And if you do this, you'll endanger this. And if you stand this, and it will fly 80 feet. It's like, and all these people, no, he didn't get in a car crash. He did, he perished because of this. It's crazy to me that so many people believe these entities. And I'm not saying that everything they put out is fake, but you also have to learn to recognize when it's syndicated across all the media outlets and there's the same message being put out, and there's different themed messages being put out over timing, the timing of 2 or 3 days or a week, and it's all connected, but they don't say it's connected because they understand we're humans. Even the stupidest, most gullible people, they do have something in their head that connects dots, and they do it subconsciously. Meanwhile, reading, it's like they subconsciously understand that these things are connected, but when they read the headline, they're kind of slow and they go, oh, they're not connected. They say it's debunked. Oh, it's not true. But every little thing, these weren't crazy things that we were talking about over the years. The only thing that made it crazy is these narratives that you might be, racist or a bigot or this, or that you don't like a certain people if you believe that. And nobody wants to be labeled that, so everybody go, oh, I don't want to think that. I don't hate any peoples. I don't hate any countries' peoples. The governments of those countries they're establishing an attack against the number one. It makes sense. This is competition at this point. And there are so many people in the United States that, just read like, we're the best country in the world and we'll always be the best country in the world. That's not true when you have AI scaling on a level where whoever gets ahead, it's going to literally be impossible to catch up. When you have production and all of these other things that can literally stack exponentially over the next 10 years, you can't just sit down and go, oh, well, we're always going to be the top. That's what Rome thought. And, we are an empire at this point. And we know throughout history what happens to empires. And usually something collapses. But, hey, don't take it from me. I mean, our money system that literally is just printed out of nowhere during that 2019 through 23, we printed more money in 1 month than we printed during our entire time as a country. But yeah, and it's based on an interest debt thing that nobody understands. Yeah, let's just keep going until the wheels fall off, I guess. And the whole way we're going to say we're untouchable. Maybe we should not underestimate our foes, like Sun Tzu said. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. By the way, thank you so much for the support. Thank you. Christy, Rosifi, Christiro? See, I hate when the names are combined because my brain just goes dumb. Adam saw a post saying that the president was thinking about pardoning Snowden and Assange, then hiring them for intelligence. Have you heard anything? So, you know what? No, I have not actually heard that. I haven't seen that there was any. I did hear that. I saw Twitter talking about it, but I didn't see that they had any credible stuff about it. But what is credible? Like I was just explaining, who are we to believe and who are we not to believe? But I didn't see any actual clips of him saying it, at least, and here's the thing, now AI, it's like you really have to have kind of a confirmation and a live video of the president actually at a press conference saying that to kind of believe it. And that's sad. It's sad that we have to have that. As far as Snowden and Assange, Dex, what do you think about Snowden and Assange getting hired on to help us? Personally, I think that Snowden, what he did, I think he was kind of a mid-level guy. Like, he is a very smart guy, but we have much smarter already working for us.
Like, they're not going to come back with big capes on and giant S's on their chest.
Game changer.
Everything. Yeah, they're just people. We've got tons of people that are just as smart as them, if not smarter, and many of them. So if anything, it's,
But there's one thing to say about their morals, and I'm not saying that they have the best morals in the world, but they both had something where they stood by their morals or whatever their belief was all the way through. And they both could have done it for different reasons. Snowden could have done it so he could be the most famous whistleblower in the world. Assange could have done it so he could go to nightclubs and tell secrets. I don't know. You don't know the inner motivations of why they do it. Or they could have done it but most people look at those things and they go, most people would not do that because of the consequences. And when people stand in the face of consequences and do it anyways, and share something that might be helpful to people, people respect that. It's the same way when you have people that really aren't the greatest people to follow, but when they say everything and anything with no filter, people respect that because it's something that most people don't do. Most people don't just scream out in public like, I disagree with all of you. 99% of people that go, we don't believe you should be doing this. The one guy that's going, I think we should. That person's going to be unpopular. And what we see in psychology is if 9 people are doing it, the 10th person's going to just be quiet and start doing it with them and go, I don't want to stand out. So standouts in our society really do have a lot of respect. And, that's what the president filled his administration with. These people that kind of stood out as people that were just going to, at least forward-facingly stand out, right? RFK, the whatever, the farmer guy that was the agriculture guy, all the people that Pete Hegseth, all these people that basically were just hardcore about their beliefs and their stance. Go ahead.
Yeah, Christy said, I was thinking it would put a gag on them so they couldn't talk anymore. That might be interesting point of view, Christy. Certainly understand it. I think that if Snowden had anything else to say, he'd say it. He would have already. And I think, Assange, he's already, used up all of his cred. If he's got any more, it's because he gets new stuff. So the fact that maybe people come to him with new things, that might be interesting. If they wanted to stop that, I think. But if they had the goods that could bring down anything, they probably would have already brought it down by now.
Well, and Snowden wasn't afraid to. Well, who knows? If I was him, I would have been afraid to do it. But it was like the drive to do it outweighed the fear of not doing it. I've seen a lot of documentaries on him. It's kind of like a movie. You kind of forget a lot of this stuff. It's like,
I bet he didn't get drafted over there though, did he?
What, in Russia?
Yeah.
No. He, and then he what's crazy is he went into the UFO angle a couple years ago, and we covered that. And it's kind of crazy that they keep talking about UFOs. It is a constant narrative. And that goes into a whole other side thing that sounds totally crazy, and it detracts from anybody. And I wonder if those things are there so that people in our community pick up on it, so then they are then discredited and look like idiots later down the road. I don't know, but what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Shannon Joe Sissel, thank you so much for the support in the super. I appreciate that. And then, of course, thank you. Frank Wall says, don't underestimate the enemy. They just poked a hornet's nest. Prep, food, water, ammo, and meds. Much love, family. Yeah, I mean, and think about that term, hornet's nest. China is a hornet's nest. 1.4 billion people. The way that they even do their tasks, like the fishing boats being used as part of their military and lining up hundreds of boats. That it reminds you of, like, you kick a hornet's net, like, hundreds or thousands of bees come out. That is what Xi Jinping is telling his country that they may have to do. That's why they're telling their country they're going to have to do an all-out war with everybody. Civilian and military infrastructure is going to be merged in the event of a war with the U.S. Don't believe me? Go look it up yourself. That's what they're telling their country. They're telling their country to get ready for war with the U.S. Meanwhile, everybody here is saying, yeah, they got nothing on us. They'll sink halfway here. Well, maybe they would, but now that they have Spratly Islands and they're building islands on a daily basis and they're dredging up more, maybe they'll have an island every 600 miles to land on so their crappy boats don't, sink. I don't know. What do you guys think? And then thank you again for 5 badges gifted. Thank you. Just some guy. Appreciate that. And I'm sure the Fugel family appreciates that as well. All right, and then Doomsday plane again spotted flying low over California. It is no coincidence that this is being talked about because of this other story. Dex, can you just summarize the attack on California and what they said with Iran?
Yeah, they said there was going to be potential drone attacks that would come from ships off the shore or maybe other locations off land if they're snuck in. But these are the little cheap drones that they have, the Shaheeds, and there would be surprise attacks in California. So that means, when it comes to the Doomsday plane, it brings a new meaning when you think about this thing being now spotted the second time over California this month, or in 2 months. It's the E-6B Mercury. It's the president's emergency hub operation if a nuclear war breaks out. Airport bosses said it was conducting approaches at the site and spent 2 hours doing mock landings and leaving onlookers stunned. The aircraft has nuclear control platform, strategic command post, and the plane, if the plane had to execute its missions, the U.S. could be heading into a nuclear war. The platform can control bombers, missiles, and ballistic missile submarines. It can remain airborne for up to 12 hours without refueling, and it's capable of refueling mid-flight to extend the mission beyond 12 hours. It's built to maintain global communications and operate even if the ground command centers are disabled, essentially functioning as a mobile Pentagon in the sky. They can control everything from up there. So I'm sure this is overkill for Shahed drones, but it also it shows one thing, the fact that we got a Doomsday plane flying over California. At the same time, there's this massive threat of potential drone attacks there. It makes you wonder.
Okay, and then the E-6B Mercury, this is also, I part of it I was changing the battery, but the command and control structure for nuclear weapons as well. As far as
exactly.
This is and it helps with the submarines and everything else. It communicates with the submarines, and it makes me wonder too. This threat against California, now you've got these flying low over California. Are they communicating with subs out in the water? Are they now on the actual lookout for an Iranian ship off of our coast? Remember, there was also this incident where first of all, what we didn't know in the morning was why this Texas airport was going to close down for 10 days for national security purposes, why they sent out NOTAMs, notice to airmen and military, whatever. This is an official notice that goes out to pilots and everything else. It said, if you are flying in this zone, we will take you down. Like, we'll, take you down. And everybody's like, what the hell is going on? And this is right on the Mexican border. And then I think part cover story, part whatever confusion, they said, it turned out that it was that they shot down a party balloon with a laser. When in the beginning, the morning, there were rumors all over the place, including when there's that many rumors right off the bat, that to me, just like the beginning of when Epstein was taken out in a cell, most of that after 3-4 years, you look at that first morning at what was being said, and it was like people were talking about it because not realizing how top secret it was because it just happened. And you had the truth within the first 5 minutes, and then you had the cover stories over the next few years. Then the more that comes out, like in just the last month, we found out basically what we thought was freaking true. Well, with this, it's like, in the first few minutes, they're saying that all of this stuff is going down. It's like we always end up finding out, that these things are happening. Of course, the E6 Merc. Oh God, and I've totally lost my track of thought. The thing that just happened too. Dex, do you know what I'm talking about? I hope I was on. Oh goodness gracious! I just had a total brain fart. I'm moving on. I'm gonna come back to this because I guarantee you that later when I am on the pot reading a magazine, that it is going to come to me, and I'm probably going to go live from the pot and say, you know what? I remembered what I was going to say. True story. And then medical device giant hit by global network disruption after a cyber attack possibly linked to pro-Iranian group. Now they're saying that this is like the first time or the first instance where you have an Iran hacking group hitting a major American company since the start of the war. I love how they put it that way because it's been like how many days? It's like, this is the first time since the start of the war. And it's crazy because this is still a straight up war, right? We haven't gone to Congress and declared war, but it is a major war. And everybody's hopping in, multiple countries, multiple NATO countries, Turkey, France, Germany, Norway, all these places are jumping in. Russia, their of course allies are all buzzing like a hornet's nest as well. But it says an Iran-linked hacker group has claimed responsibility for a cyber attack of a medical tech company, Stryker, in what appears to be the first significant instance of Iran hacking an American company. Dex, what do you think about this company, and why do you think they hit this specifically?
Well, maybe they had access. If they had a back door and easily get in and take it, then they did. So they came out and they said that they there was also the Z word rooted corporation, and it claimed that they got 200,000 systems were affected, and they stole 50 terabytes of data that they extracted out of the company. So obviously the hackers that are claiming this are Iranian backed, and they're against Israel, and they're basically blaming this company as being an Israeli run company.
It's going to bug me. It was related to the Epstein thing that then the first day we had notice of it, and there was notice. Oh, yes, I am totally, okay, I don't know what is going on with this thing. Okay, let's see. Okay, the first day of the freaking thing over Texas, right? People said that there was drones coming from Mexico. Now they're talking about it again, that there's some sort of threat. You have Mexico that has cartels so big that they can run around and drive in cities and there's nobody to stop them. They can go chase down Americans supposedly, or whatever they were doing down there. They can put sculptures of artwork made out of perished people that they put together in the middle of a mall, and they don't get caught, they don't get arrested, they don't get anything. The cops have to cover their faces because they're more afraid of getting taken out. Governors, 7 governors in like 1 month got taken out. Basically, the government structure gets taken out by these cartels. So cartel has more power. Think about that in the aspect that they are one of 2 major borders of our freaking country. And you go, oh, well, at least the other side is Canada. Well, Canada's got a new strategic partnership with China. Everything links back to China. Even part of their strategic partnership is allowing former 10-year veterans of the PLA to just join right into the Canadian military. Don't believe me? Go look it up. It's insane. They're, oh, well, it's doctors and pilots. Pilots? You mean the ones that are going to be flying their Air Force planes, the ones that U.S. pilots currently now train the Canadian pilots? So then that pilot can then be trained by the American, then take that training and then go train China? That sounds crazy. And then Mexico, mostly controlled by the cartels, all the way down to Venezuela, which we just took out, Ecuador, which we have clandestine services in, Colombia, which we just like threw in there like, hey, well, you won the scratch ticket, we're probably going to take you out too. All of those, what do they have in common? China came in through Ecuador. Russians came in through Venezuela. They went through Colombia. They went through Panama, through the Darien Gap. They went through Honduras, Ecuador, all of these places, up through Mexico. And whether you believe Sheinbaum is on the billionaire side or the China side, doesn't really matter. She doesn't have true control over the country. So if you have cartels with so much control in Mexico, then they could be loading up tens of thousands of freaking drones right at the border. There could have been an issue down there that they quickly covered up and says, oh, yeah. The balloon story literally came from 2 officials saying, well, I know this week they were shooting like a party balloon. And then that was like, oh, perfect. Great cover story. Yeah, we shut down the airspace and we were going to shut it down for 10 days because of incompetence. I told you guys then, I said, they will sometimes lean into the incompetence thing. They know that half the country is going to say they're incompetent no matter what. And they go, hey, they believe we're incompetent. So let's let them think we're incompetent. Let's use it as our cover story. Oh, we didn't tell the FAA that we were shooting a laser that can literally take out not only planes, but probably space debris. And yeah, it was total accident. That's why they were like, well, what are you doing? Oh, we can't tell you. Well, then we're going to close airspace for 10 days. That was their official narrative. I don't believe it. Just a few weeks later, we have now that they're saying there's going to be a possible attack on our border or on our coastlines. So now you have potentially a turn in some of the folks infiltrated Canada, infiltrated Brazil, infiltrated Venezuela, infiltrated North Korea, and infiltrated South Korea. South Korean president got arrested and taken over for doing martial law, stating that China was infiltrating his country. Infiltrated pretty much every other country. Germany, questions there. We're not communicating our military plans with Germany. Turkey, something is happening there. All these countries, all of this. And then we've got Canada and Mexico, both our coastlines with potential drones. All of a sudden, we don't have a safety net. We're not geographically safe because we're 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 miles away from everybody else. And it's not mutually assured destruction. Nobody's going to nuke everybody. They're going to turn the power off on us. There's going to be drones like that fired from freaking pickup trucks or container ships. And they're going to knock down all the strategic stuff to keep us down. China's going to take Taiwan. China's going to own a huge part of the freaking shipping. There's going to be a war over these shipping routes like the Strait of Hormuz, the Strait of Taiwan, the Panama Canal. All these places are going to become the big war. Minerals and all this stuff for batteries, this is the future oil. But right now, oil is the future oil. And now there's still wars over oil. My big question, though, is what is going to happen in the next few years that has all of these elites planning for a disaster? In the first few days of these events, we find out more than 5 years of fake media. So go with your gut on stuff like this. Do you think they were shooting down a party balloon? Or do you think maybe, just maybe, cartel has more control down there and it's not the cartel that's attacking us. It's China paying cartel to attack us. Just saying. And then, of course, we have now the Pentagon probe points to U.S. missile hitting Iranian school. I want to point out, I showed you that video the day after this Khamenei strike. Do you guys remember that TikTok video that, well, it wasn't a TikTok video. People clipped that video of the woman saying that from the protests, they were taking the people's perished remains, including women and children, and that they believed that they were going to keep those people over. They were going to do the same thing that the terrorists did with the Gaza Strip or with Hezbollah and all that. They were going to move into the schools. They have tunnel systems underground, and that they were going to do their headquarters out of schools and hospitals. Why? Because the world believes that's a crime of humanity, or a crime against humanity to hit a school with people in it and kids. Most likely, there's no kids in those schools, right? Within a week of that, there are this huge debate about this school. Dex, what did you think about this school thing, especially after we talked about that there was specifically a rumor going around that they were going to move into schools and do all this and then basically make us look like we just hit schools, which we probably did anyways. That's the thing. If they were going to take out the bad guys, this is what Israel said with the other ones. Hey, if they're hiding in a school, we have to take out the school. They're hiding and using human shields, right? I don't know if that's true, but that's the narrative. And it's kind of crazy. We talked about this exact scenario with Iran, and now it's happening.
Well, certainly. And it's unfortunate that a school was hit. I think when you have 3,000 targets and you're bound to have some unfortunate collateral damage, whether that falls into this category or whether that falls in the category of they were actually targeting bad guys and the bad guys were hiding in the school. I guess, time will either tell or we may never know.
And now they're saying that the probe points to it. It hit a school, yeah. Into the missile strike on an Iranian girls' school that took the lives of at least 165 civilians, many of them wee ones. Nobody agrees with this. This is something that it doesn't matter what country, even countries that may have different beliefs or very strong beliefs, no one believes in taking out kids. This is something everybody can look at and get pissed off about. So this is strategy. I mean, it's strategy to move into those places and use them as human shields. The same way that a bank robbery, they'll grab somebody and go, "Ha! I'll take her life if you don't let me get out of here." But in this case, it seemed almost strategic, and it was crazy that this was a viral thing that was being talked about, and then it started happening. I mean, it's obviously been a strategy. When you're fighting a much bigger foe, they're going to do anything and everything to try to make us look bad. And I don't think that's Iran. I think that's China again. That's a long-term strategy thing. The U.S., everybody's calling us out around the world saying, we can't believe you. You took out a freaking girls' school with mostly kids in it. But I do think it's interesting that woman said that there was rumors about them holding all of those people that perished during those protests and then potentially taking an empty school after it hits, placing them there. And I'm not saying that's what happened. This is exactly what they said about a week before this happened. And that they would do it, and then it would look like a crime against humanity. Which way do you think that it sways? I don't know. But I think it's odd that this was such a viral topic before it happened, and then it happens. You would think that, the Pentagon would be filled in on this viral stuff too, that everybody's talking about it, everybody's tagging DOW, everybody's tagging this. Oh, is this true? And then it happens? That's kind of crazy. And then U.S. military supremacy shines as China fails big in Iran and in Venezuela. Dex, I have a kind of a different view on this, but most people are saying that all of the systems they sold, all of these places, they didn't do good at all.
Well, certainly it showed that the U.S. has control over that equipment, whatever equipment that they purchased, whether it's China's JY-27 radar system, or the Russian equipment as well, like the S-300s that had zero effect basically. So they've spent billions of dollars, some of these countries have, on these defense systems, and they're basically useless against America.
Now this is a time when you have half of Twitter with, and most of these are most likely bots. You have hundreds of videos. I'll show you right now. If you haven't seen this. But there are tons of these accounts, tons. Some of them, I believe, are paid. Some of them are on the payroll because they are literally an army infantry. They have a 1 million man internet army of guys that just sit in front of a computer in full uniform, and they push whatever narrative China wants them. We know this. This is something that it's not a theory. It's something that they strategically did, and it's actually really smart. China is the most advanced country in the world, and people will post this every day, 10 times a day, all over Twitter, and it trends because when you have an army of 1 million people that can like the thing, you can artificially put that to the top. Everybody is seeing it constantly. It is a message and narrative. Boom. You'll see this here in a second. You'll see, let me make sure I spell it right. China is the most advanced country. You'll see Hinkle and all these other places saying China is the most, this is crazy. Even a direct search. This is how big what is going on right now. 20 pages, everything ties back to, I just realized something. This is a very specific search, and the algorithm will not let you actually see it. Okay, so I had to scroll past this. That shows you that the algorithm over on X right now wants to show you exactly what is happening with Iran first. It did not show anything related to this search until 2 pages down, when I've done this on the show many times. And you guys know, it pulls up hundreds of these. It pulled up 2 pages of everything I ran. So it just kind of shows you that it doesn't matter what you type, they want to show you that. Because you can go back to those shows and see what happens. It never shows other stuff. China is the most advanced country on earth. This is January 12th, right? This is November 1st. China is the most advanced country on earth. Why does Hinkle, like, even if he believes this, why would he post this over and over? God dang you, copyright. Why would you post this over and over and over and over and over? And Hinkle, I'm not saying you're getting paid by them, but I would love to see whatever new Tesla you're driving. I want to compliment you because I think they're cool cars. China is the most advanced country on earth, most advanced country, and you'll see thousands of it. You have to scroll past. Look, Jackson Hinkle, November 10th, and it's not just Jackson Hinkle. There's whole threads of these, and it shows like robots walking down the street and everything else. And people are starting to adapt it. Younger people, especially the crowd that has been shopping on Temu, that gets everything from China. Their biggest worry was TikTok going away because it was China. With Temu going away, with Alibaba Express going away, because they were getting all their cheap stuff and their gambling freaking shops going away. Because of this president. The media told my 19-year-old and younger kids, oh, you know, this guy, he's the R word, he's this, he's that, and he's taking away your TikTok. He's taking away your Temu. Kids look at Temu. I mean, they made it like a game on purpose. They were attacking the youth. Order from us and you get 15 free objects. Those are 15 objects that were probably going to end up in a toxic, in my opinion, a toxic freaking dump. Instead, they're going to dump them off on you and they don't have to put it in a landfill. But yeah, I mean, this is, it's crazy. Go do it yourself and then scroll past the first 20. You'll see all of these different accounts. And there are accounts that have been there for 2, 3, 4 years, but they don't have any followers. They don't have any of that. And they just post this over and over and over again. It is the going narrative right now. And I've shown you the articles that go against anything that makes China look bad. In fact, when we talk about this, we get these weird accounts out of nowhere. They're like, stop talking about them. They're great. And you're against the Chinese people. I'm not against any of the people that live in these crazy technological LED lights, freaking towers and weird buildings and crazy, crazy cities. I'm against their government. You may have super towers and you may be able to have a robot suit to fly to work or whatever, but you can't protest. If you can't protest, it's not the country that I would ever want ruling mine. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And then before we move on, make sure to go check out My Patriot Supply. If you don't have a supply of, prep food, again, make sure to go check this out, because if you have canned foods or stuff that you've been storing up, you obviously know. It goes bad after 2 or 3 years, and you don't know when something is going to happen. But many of you have probably thrown out a lot of bad canned food and bad, even long-term shelf food. This lasts 25 years. So once you buy it, it's kind of like buy it and store it and forget it. Marfooglenews.com/prep. This will be good until 2052. It's freeze-dried, so it takes almost no space up. You add water or cook in water, and it brings up almost all the nutrients and all the flavor back. Go to marfooglenews.com/prep. You will get giant discounts on the 3-month supply, and if you're like, 3 months of food, I could never afford that, I would go check. It's insane how cheap you can get a 3-month supply for one person in bulk from this company. Same with the 1 month. It's going to be cheaper than if you went to the grocery store for 1 month in a lot of cases. But not only that, you can get smaller kits. You can get a 72-hour kit. You can get whatever. But it is going to be 25 years, and then you have it covered. You can build it up over time, or you can get yourself, and that's 3 months for one person, a month and a half for 2, or a month for 3. So you can also look at it like that. If you just want a couple weeks that you know you can ride through any storm, that's something to look at. And then Dex, U.S. military supremacy. We went over that. Oh, and then 3 cargo ships struck off of Iran's coast. Dex, do you want to go over that?
So Trump's red line, as he said yesterday, they're not going to mine, they're not going to do any of this bad stuff to the ships, and if they do, then they're going to have a reckoning like they've never seen, or something to that effect. Well, that's happened. So 3 ships have been struck. I think one was damaged so bad that it caught fire, and they had to disembark. Everybody had to evacuate off of the ship. So all of this is coming, as they're saying, from the Iranian coast. One of them was actually in the narrow Strait of Hormuz when it happened. The others were just off the coastline there of Iran, and they were taken. So now we've got 3 ships that have been hit.
And he promised that this wouldn't happen. He even said the U.S. would, do insurance for these cargo ships and stuff. And they were trying to make it so, one, everything would come back down, so everybody would calm down. This isn't going to be a world crisis. Well, now they're doing exactly what we all thought they were going to do. They're striking the ships. They're doing off land. They can do it with, whatever launchers they have nearby. Cargo ships are not hard to hit. They're the equivalent of basically a floating barn. So, yeah, something like this could definitely cause a different escalation or a tit for tat, or it could be a fantastic Freddy event to get stuff started. Wolverine Snicket, thank you so much for gifting 5 badges. Wolverine Snicket, thank you for joining the fam. 31 months. That is awesome. And then we have Stephanie Cook. Thank you for 31 months. And says, very informative show tonight. This show is the best. Hey, thank you. Frank Walls, one of our enemies is here and like to make themselves explode, avoid cities and crowds. They are using 2-man crews now. First takes out a bunch. Second comes when the first responders are there. Keep your eyes open and head on a swivel. I showed you guys the other night in that Texas event right after Kameni, a Waymo car randomly pulled sideways and parked halfway in the street. Straight out of Leave the World Behind, a driverless car, and I'm not saying that it was hacked, because I'm sure Waymo would have a thought about that, but there's video of it. It went sideways and parked in the middle of the street. It slowed down the first responders to get to those 3 people that perished and the many more that got injured. That's some scary stuff. That would be something hacking would do. And I said, watch in the next week, we're going to see a lot of hacking. I'm not a psychic. I just said there's a lot of narratives and a lot of stories about hacking from Iran. Now we're seeing hacking stories about some of these big companies. Now they're saying that there's a potential attack via container ships off our coast. I don't know. Seems like a lot of the stuff that Sarah Adams also said from open source, and if you look at her open source stuff, is coming true. One of which also, you know how the war against Feni, right? Well, she has evidence that over the last year, these groups and terror groups have been using an altered version of Feni with a stimulant as a sort of a control thing. And if you're a martyr, if you're somebody who's going to go take yourself out, they would load them up with this kind of stuff. It's not the kind of stuff that makes people half bent over in a Walmart parking lot. This is the kind of stuff where you go blazing in Australia or in the US or in Taiwan, and you just do whatever because you're just high as a kite. But you're also, in this certain mind state. They could be doing something with, of course, bioengineering. We know that certain countries are literally playing around with mind control with different biological substances that could either be put into us or be consumed, or microwave weapons that can fry your brain and make you think a certain thing. If you think that's crazy, go look that up too. We bought a weapon off of Russia under an undercover thing. That weapon they're looking at, and they're basically saying it hits certain neurons in your brain and it can fizzle stuff. This is neurostrike stuff. They could literally make you stop walking or make you, bend over and puke if you're super soldiers in Venezuela. This is the kind of stuff that Leave the World Behind also pointed out. It's very scary stuff, but it's happening. Make sure to also go check out Jace if you don't have antibiotics. Another great resource here. Marfooglenews.com/Jace. Kit sent right to your door with all of your common antibiotics, and you can add things in like albuterol. Marfooglenews.com/Jace. Thank you, Dex. I appreciate your service tonight, as always.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Shannon Josissel, again, thank you. It says, let's celebrate their third Super on a live stream. Thank you. Again, thank you. Laura Lee, V4, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And then Wolverine Snicket, Stephanie Cook, top fans tonight, Frank Walls, Shannon Josissel, Christy Rossifi, I think that's how you say it. Laura Lee, J Pass James, D Dragonfire, Sean CTX. Thank you. Babylon Must Fall, number 8. Michelle Batzayan, of course, W.I.'s Jen, and Shastina. And then thank all of your mods by going over to marfooglenews.com. And I'm going to manually type it because we don't have that up. Boom. And then click on the Friends tab. I spelled it wrong. Boom. Click on the Friends tab. Not only do you have an access to archived shows with every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. So you have this. You can go down and see all of the backup for this show. Where are they getting this stuff? I bet they're using, tabloids or whatever. All the sources are there. So if you want to question them, you can go do so. And you can even search previous shows. So for instance, you can go up to this top corner. And if you think, there's no mind control. NEUROSTRIKE. Look up the shows on Neurostrike. Listen to the phone interviews we did with, I always forget his EJ Stern or whatever his name is.
LJ Eads.
I always screw it up. Listen to his interview, okay? It's one of the 2 videos that we did. And they were both done back to back. He reached out to me on Twitter after seeing the first short video and said, "You're the only one talking about our findings." And he was one of the 3 people that were on the peer-reviewed paper, and it's massive news. I mean, governments of the world are literally going to this peer-reviewed paper and going, "Holy crap, this is when all the directed energy and all of that stuff was coming out as real," right? They were doing this. Go check it out. We're talking about mass mind control via signals, mass mind control via stuff that goes in you. I mean, this is no longer sci-fi. It's real. It's real. And right now, we have a threat of all of these people potentially snapping and sleeper cells going off. That sounded like a movie. Now it is true. Also, go check out Sarah Adams' stuff if you want to go over and back up. Again, she's talking about all of the different intelligence on the stuff that was coming in. It makes me wonder, were they so worried about the stuff that's, taking the guys out in Walmart, which, again, I'm sure they do care about it, but was it worth all the ice and the unpopularness before the midterms and all of that? Like, it was a countrywide debate, and they still did it. Or were they taking out specific people and specific stuff because that stuff was going to be used in some sort of massive coordinated attack, which, again, we just covered tonight. They are verifying that there was a list of all these targets in the United States. Everything that we were talking about that all these headlines debunked is now slowly coming true. So just keep your head on a swivel. If you found value in this show, one thing you can do for absolutely free that helps us is subscribe. A lot of you don't subscribe and it just pops up in your home feed. Make sure that you hit the bell to all so you get all notifications, especially when I do a cell phone or breaking news. That you definitely have to have that bell clicked to all. Thank you. We appreciate you. Go check out the mods over at marfooglenews.com/friends. Just click that last tab and you'll find everybody from Bones to Wages, Trinity, Ilea, and everybody else. Thank you so much for the support, everybody, guys. Thank you. Have a great night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.